Good morning, everyone. So I posted yesterday on my Instagram that I was going to do a review on the Paper Studios Agenda52 faith notebooks. I know that seems like a lot, but that's the way they have it set up. So the company is the Paper Studios. Paper Studios has a line called Agenda52. And in that line, they have calendars, they have TN traveler's notebook inserts, covers, they have ring planners. That's all within their Agenda 52 section. And then the Paper Studios, they have like scrapbooking supplies, so obviously paper. And then a couple of other things that's used for scrapbooking and such. So today we're going to talk about these faith notebooks, and I'm calling them faith notebooks because they're faith-based, but when you purchase them, it just says notebooks. So that's just me adding it on just so we can, differentiate kind of what we're talking about here. So I want to go over what I like about these, what I don't like about them, just kind of give a review. First, I want to start with how they look. Aesthetically, it is beautiful. I love the flowers. I like that they're all different but cohesive. So having kind of like the marbleized pink, that's the same color as these flowers here. Having the black and white stripes, but still keeping the same kind of color roses and flowers from the other notebooks. So I love that. I love that they did that I said marble, but it's more like watercolor. So as far as the notebook is concerned, it has a very soft, coating on it. I don't know how they do that, and I don't know how to describe it, but it's very soft to the touch, and I like that. And it's more of a matte finish. It's not really glossy, and so I like that as well. And so there's 3 different type of notes. When you purchase it, it comes in a pack of 3, so you get all 3. I got it from Hobby Lobby. It was $9.99 and I had a coupon, which is always good. So shout out Hobby Lobby. And so I was able to purchase all 3 of these at a really reasonable price. And I like that when you purchase all 3, there's no mistaking as to what these notebooks are for. So inside of each one, there's a scripture at the beginning. Like in the beginning of the notes, it says, "By the grace of God, I am what I am," 1 Corinthians 15:10. Inside the prayer notes, it has, "Because he bends down to listen, I will pray as long as I have breath," Psalms 116:2. And then inside of the sermon notes, it says, "Seek him above all else," Matthew 6:33. So I like that there is absolutely no question about what these are used for, which is awesome. So let's start. We're going to start with the sermon notes first. I want to get into it because I did have some reservations before I started using it. When I first got it, which was back in December, I was using, for my sermon notes and my Sunday school, I was using spiral notebooks. So let me just show you guys really quickly. So, it wasn't in a binder. So these are the spiral notebooks that I use for notes and sermons like that. So far, I have 3. So this is one. And then this is another here. And then this was my last one. So we were getting down to the end of this one. I only had like a few blank pages, and I was just like, okay, I need to start over. So typically I would have went to Walmart, and I love the U-Style collection that they have. And so I would have just got another spiral notebook, but I don't know how. Somehow I ended up in Hobby Lobby and I saw these and I was like, okay, let's give this a go. So when I first purchased it, I was like, okay, well, I'll use it for my devotion, because I still had the spiral notebook that I was using for my sermon notes in Sunday school. Once that was filled up, I was like, you know what, let's just give it a try. We'll try it out and see if it works. I didn't think that I was going to use it because I write so big and I like taking a lot of notes. I am a note taker. I take notes. I like putting things down verbatim sometimes. I like writing out the scripture sometimes. And of course, when you're listening to a sermon, you really can't do everything that you want to do. But I am so grateful to our church because they record all the sermons, so you're able to go back, listen to it, and really dive into it. So like I go to church on Sundays, but then I dissect everything like on Tuesdays, normally my study days. So for February is when I really started using the sermon notes, and I'm gonna go to a blank page so y'all can see what it looks like. Oh, okay. So on here, it says sermon notes at the top, obviously, and then it has speaker, subject, and then there's an area for you to put the date. So it's like 2 little dashes there for you to put the date. So I started off in February, and surprisingly enough, I was keeping to the section. I was like, oh, okay, I thought it would be bad, but it's not. And I wasn't holding back at all because, you know, I'm very serious about my word. But it fit within these 2 pages. Now, when I got to the month of April, towards the end of April, our pastor did a sermon, God's plan is to bring you out. And this particular one, I wrote out a lot of scripture because he had a lot of scripture references, and I like to write my scriptures out simply because it helps me remember. And so I can remember scriptures and things like that because I wrote it down, I saw it, I wrote it. So it helps me remember. And after writing it out, it took 2 pages. Since it was my first time actually going into the next section, I really didn't know how to do it. So I did speaker and subject again, and then I put the date. But then when I went back to do a deeper study, I found out after I went back and read it that I kind of started over in the beginning, and before I caught myself and realized, oh wait, I've already wrote these notes. Like after I was listening to the sermon for so long, I was like, why does this all sound so familiar? And so then I went back and I was like, oh no. And so I went ahead and put continued, and then I continued from where I left off here. And so I was like, okay, if I do this again, now I know what I need to do so I don't confuse myself. So when we went into the next, or the series, it was one more series, and then it was a series after that. So the next series, When Will God Be Enough, what I did was that when I went past the section, I just whited out the date. I whited out stuff that would make me think that I didn't study that particular sermon, so that I knew, okay, I need to start from here. And so even though my sermon notes ended here, and then I have this page is blank, doesn't bother me. When it was time for the next sermon, I started here. And then when I got into, now that I knew kind of what worked and what didn't, when I got into the other part of this series, I did it again, whited out subject, I whited out the speaker, so I can know that I'm continuing these notes. And then when I got to last Sunday, I realized, you know what? I don't even need to really put the subject because it's supposed to be a continuation. So I just whited out everything. I was like, okay, I don't need a date. I don't need that. It just needs to show that I started here and it ended here. So even with that, I am still comfortable with that. It doesn't bother me one bit. I got started in February, really taking sermon notes in this notebook. And I am already past the halfway point. So I'll probably have until, I don't know, maybe August, hopefully. So it doesn't take up a full year. It's probably only about 7 months. But even that, I'm fine with. Because I went ahead and bought 2 packets of these. And so I already have a blank sermon notes sitting up on my bookshelf ready to go. So that's the end of the sermon notes. I like it. I like that I have the top where it says speaker and subject, because I may, you know, if we fellowship with another church, or if I hear another sermon, then I can put that particular speaker, I can put that subject. And so I'm good with that. We're going to go to the notes. The notes notebook I really like because it's just line pages. So there's no, you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. For me, I use it for my Sunday school. So I put the title of my Sunday school lesson, the date, and then I have my notes there. Again, it kind of has that starting stopping point, just like the sermon notes. You kind of know where it starts and stops. For this one, it's not so, it doesn't just stick out so bad. Like there's not an area for you to put a date. I just happen to do that down here. So if you write past that, then it's perfectly fine. Like this one, this particular study is several pages. And to me, it doesn't look that bad. Like, it's not like, oh, she went past another day. You know, it's just a regular notebook, and I like it. I thought that I wasn't going to be able to, again, have room enough, or I was going to use too many pages just on one study. But so far, it's been working out great. So this is the halfway point, and I am just past the halfway point. So this is for this week. I'm just past the halfway point. I started using the notes notebook for my Sunday school lessons in February. We're in May, and so I probably have until the end of the summer to use this, and I am okay with that. So I wanted really badly to be a prayer notes person, but the way that they have this set up, because it says prayer notes, and so now that I'm looking at it in this very moment, I feel like I'm having a revelation that this is probably where I would house answered prayers. So I have a faith planner that I use daily, and most of my prayers go on the back of my illustrations, or it goes, you know, in that day, I kind of write everything out. So I'll probably use this one for prayers that I know God has answered. And we're going to take a look inside so you can see why. So this is how they have it set up. I'm going to go to a blank page so you can see it without all of my ugly handwriting. All right, so there's a section for prayers, and as you can see, it's just a couple of lines. So you have a couple of lines, it says prayers, and then it says I am blessed because, and then it's a dot grid here. And then the next page is an area for a key verse, reminders, and then it has crosses for the bullet points. And then there's a few lines at the bottom. So for me, the way that I pray, the way that I communicate with God, it wouldn't be structured this way. And so I tried using it in the beginning of February. I think I got to March and I realized that it just wasn't, it was more of a hindrance for me to try and pray according to this structure. So I stopped using it. But now that I've kind of talked it out, I'll probably go back and put my answered prayers in this particular notebook. And then that's probably what this will be used for. So that's how the sections are. Just 2 pages are one section, and then it starts over here. I feel like if you went into, like if you needed, let's just say that you use it to write out your prayers, that it would kind of be a little wonky. I guess because this whole thing at the top. I don't know. I may be just being anal right now. But I like it. I think for a person who needs, or who's just beginning kind of to get back in communication with God, or someone who's just starting to pray more, that having a particular structure may be very helpful because it gives you less to think about. I feel like if you're in a position to where you're trying to get back to where you were in God, or you're beginning a relationship with God, I think a lot of people get nervous. You kind of get anxious, and it's just kind of like, well, how am I supposed to do this? Or how am I supposed to speak? Or what should I be doing? So having a little structure is always good. I feel like when you're first starting out, because I'm not there, I'm a little bit more in tune with the relationship that I have with the Lord, and that we talk on a daily basis. And so I know how he talks to me. I know how I talk to him. This wouldn't work out for me in regards to my actual prayers, but noting down the prayers that have been answered thus far, which I have several. And so I'm kind of excited about that. Probably will work on that after this video is over with. I'll probably use it for that. But that is the end of my review for the Paper Studios Agenda52 Faith Notebooks. I like that they come in a pack of 3. I like that the price point isn't very high, and you get all 3 in a pack. And If you have a coupon, use your coupon. I don't know if the Paper Studio sells anything directly from their website. I haven't taken a look at that, but it's affordable and it works. So if you're beginning your faith walk, or if you're in your faith walk and you just want to change it up a bit, I feel like using the notebooks will help. All right, I've rambled enough. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.